So we will just talk about the meeting preparation checklist, which appears in James Creighton book, the Public Participation Handbook. And here I would just not add that much. I will simply show you what he put in this meeting preparation checklist. So the first things that he said is to provide information to the public. So even before the meeting starts, you need to inform the public so they can come prepared to the meeting, so they can engage in a more productive manner. So that means that weeks before the meeting, you need to define what information the public needs in order to participate in the meeting and give you some productive comments. You need to get an agreement on what information products you will need to be able to provide this information. Are you writing a briefing? Are you writing a staff report? Are you doing this in a newsletter? Then you have to write the information and products. Obviously, if it's a staff report, that will take a very long time. So you will prepare like way in advance that this 3 weeks or 4 weeks that you need to get the information to the public. But if it's a newsletter, it could be with a lot of less time in advance. But you need the time to be able to write the text and the information that you will provide. And you also need to get approvals for the text. So remember, we said that the publications are the things that take the most time, because not necessarily because they take that much time to write, that could be the case, but also because other people have to like look at it and they have to approve it. So that's the other reason why it takes extra time, and you should actually budget to have that time. You will have to design and lay out the publication. Maybe you have to print it in order to bring it to the meeting, and you will have to like distribute it in emails or Dropbox, whichever method that is, and to all the potential participants that will be coming to your meeting. Then you have to identify a date, a time, and a place for the meetings. So you need to confirm which of the meeting rooms are appropriate for the type of meeting that you are planning. So again, format meets form, and then you have to ask yourself all those questions that we posed before, including access to public transportation, the security, familiarity of the place, to the audience. Then you have to secure the meeting room. So you need to know, do I have a budget to reserve a place? Is it free? Do I have to pay someone extra hours so they stayed from 5 to 8 or 9 until the meeting ends? I have to communicate the seating arrangements clearly, ask if people will have like the chairs there or not. Get there early, because even if you have an arrangement or an agreement, that might not have been the case. And you have to review again the arrangements of like, is there a person to close and open the place? What are the emergency numbers in case of any problems that you might have? Do you have to hire a security? Will you have catering and all those things? In terms of the meeting design, so you have to identify that with the team, and you need to figure out, is that external facilitator going to be used for this meeting, and then contact them in advance. Is the meeting going to be audio tape or videotape? Are they going to be like a public comment period, workshop? Is this an open house? You need to prepare instructions for any meeting activities for the public, but also for your team. And you need to identify what are the resources that are required from your staff. For example, are you going to have 8 tables and each one of them will have 8 facilitators, and all of them must be part of your staff? So you need to also make sure that you have those resources, that people can work extra time, after 5, and then they will get paid extra. You will have to make sure that you bring recorders, pencils, paper, whatever is that you need um, in order to conduct this meeting. And then you will be developing this presentation. So you have to identify what topics needs to be covered. Obviously, you will do this on some kind of agenda. What are the key points that you're going to deliver? Who are going to be the presenters? Are there any graphics needed? Do I need a projector? I'm going to use like PowerPoints, or I'm going to have posters. Like who is going to develop those presentations or those posters, those handouts, for instance. And you might want to do like a dry run of all presentations with your staff, especially if you're a manager and you just want to make sure that the junior staff is not only comfortable, but they are also are staying on the topic, and they will not say anything that it will be damaging to the agency, particularly at the beginning stages of a process. So you have the giving the meeting some publicity. So just finding out like which kind of meeting it is, if it's there might be requirements like about like how do you publicize the meeting. For example, you might need to send mail letters to people within, let's say, half mile of particular project, but maybe you want to um, send it in newsletters of people that have previously engaged with you. Maybe you want to do paid advertisement, a press release, um, elected official briefings. Maybe you invite the media to do a press release, and or doing the briefing, and this is how you tell people about something that is like coming up in the future. Of course, you have to prepare the text and the materials for all that publicity and the design and the layout, and you have to have a budget for all of these things, or a staff time allocated to these things, and all this happens obviously before the even the meeting can start. Then you, once you are like in the meeting, you want to develop some sign-in sheets, identify if there's going to be meeting handouts and put those in front that are very visible for people. You might have name tags, you might have just like public comment cards as well. You might identify an administrative person that it will be in the front welcoming people and explaining them what you will be doing that afternoon, or if there's anything, any particular instructions that you like them to have. You have to see, do I have like that table in the front, or do I have to bring my own chairs, and so on. And then you might need like signage for people to get into the particular room that you will be using. Sometimes there might be multiple entrances, multiple parking spaces, and you don't know if people will find the place. So you want to like put signage outside saying, you know, here is where we are going to have the meeting. And as we spoke before, you want to make sure that there's some accessible entrances, and you need to make sure that people also know that. So usually the places will have signage, but you know, an invitation you might want to say if you need accessible accommodations, or um, a wheelchair entrance, an elevator. Just add more details about that in your newsletter or email or invitation. And then you can also potentially have like translators, or like people who do like sign language. So it depends which type of meeting, and your budget, and all those things are possible. But obviously these are very good ideas and things to think about in terms of how to be more inclusive. Um, and even childcare might be something that you want to provide in some cases, or even food. Which brings us to refreshments. So you want to determine whether you want to have refreshments or not, where you have the budget. You might need any equipment such as the coffee maker or trays. You want to identify a person that will be responsible for this as well. And you also want to make sure that you can actually eat in these places. In City Hall, usually where you have um, like the legislative chambers, usually you cannot bring like any food. You might have water, but you cannot bring any food. So you want to make sure that you can actually have food in the space that you're planning to do your event, if that's what you're trying to do. In terms of the equipment, determine what you need: microphones, overhead projector, digital projector, do I need a screen, power cords, e-cells, flip charts, paper tape, anything. So just usually agencies will have like a list that they will just like check mark what you need, or you can make this list in advance. So just make absolutely sure that you have everything that you need. And at the end, it's very important that you don't leave the room with garbage and like things that are not how you find them. So let's say that you had a lot of kids and there were like some puzzles and books in the bookshelves and they made a mess. So you want to clean that, even though they were not your kids, and that was it's still your responsibility for that room. And if you can, you even like take out the trash or do leave the place like better than you find it, because if you're borrowing a place, it's very important that you actually show that you care and that you are responsible. And of course, make sure that you also know who is going to lock up a place. You don't want to just like, let's say, leave the room and there was like nobody in the classroom in a school, and you just left. And what if there's a theft after that? So you want to make sure that the person, let's say that you finish early at 8:50 and somebody will say that they will close at 9. So you make sure that you wait until they come back and they close the space. And that's it for this portion.